Hey, we're live.
We're live. Awesome.
I'm here.
Hey, Spiffy headset. Wow, styling. Hey, welcome everyone to This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing Live Show number 146. Yes, the hits just keep on coming. Woo! And with me is the ever amicable, totally vanilla, non-opinionated, usually agrees with everybody, Mr. Edward St. Ange from Flip2.
So we're lying today. Okay.
So we're lying today. By the way, happy GDPR Day. I'm sure it'll go down as an annual event of happiness and joy in remembrance to the lunacy of our privacy policies have changed. Please click below. I mean, just
the amount of spam email I've gotten from people trying to get into GDPR compliance is just amazes me. I just want to respond to all of them with that meme of the old lady like showing you her wall, and that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
I can tell you, it's like, and sincerely, I spent the better part of 6.5 hours going through complete GDPR compliance for my little itty bitty teeny weeny company, and that was out of the convenience of being able to say that I'm the authority. This is my encryption base. I agree to my IT policies. I'm in charge of my. I'm the data protection officer. All the stuff that most people do not know is a part of this whole thing. All they think is, slap up a new policy and let everybody know that we made some changes. Hey, Val's with us.
Yeah, I let her in because you were ignoring her.
Oh, did I? I did. I ignored her. Crap, I am a shitty host.
Yeah, especially with that language. My gosh, man.
I know, potty mouth. Hey, Val, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Lauren Potty Mouth Gray. I mean,
Lauren Potty Mouth Gray. We're just patting ourselves on the back for a happy GDPR Day. That annual event is going to be a reminder of everybody of how the I told you so 3 months ago whenever we started talking about it, and now all of a sudden everybody's scrambling with half-baked ideas and efforts.
Speaking of half-baked, if you look on LinkedIn, our marketing team baked GDPR cookies today to thank our dev team for getting everything done.
That's very nice.
Anyway, you were saying, Val, what do you think?
Our Frankfurt office has been, we have an office in Frankfurt, a big office in Frankfurt. We have a lot of customers in the EU who primarily serve EU customers, EU clients, EU guests. And we've been fairly amazed at the number of hotel groups that have called our Frankfurt office today asking us if we could sign a piece of paper or we could provide them a piece of paper to sign, attesting to that what they're doing and how they're using us is GDPR compliant. I mean, we just... in the States, we don't run into it that much. Well, a lot of what we do in Europe is a little different than what we do for our U.S. customers. So we don't run into that much in the States, even for our globals. But man, it's just been chaotic in our Frankfurt office today, and it's not. We've been responsive. We've been reactive to the chaos, not causing the chaos.
Right. No, I won't say of whom and what, but I mean, for months now. I mean, we've had it on the show for I don't know how long, let alone from client engagements and so forth. And talking to people and even going through the Rocket program and talking to people around, they were unaware of this thing that's going on and trying to explain to them what to do and how to do it. And then I'm literally on calls with clients, large clients, and they have yet to even configure what they were going to be sending and whether they should include membership or not to include membership. I'm like, y'all need to work on y'all's people skills because Mr. Tim, how are you, sir? Mr. Robert as well. Sorry we didn't get to say hi to you when you first popped in.
Howdy.
Welcome to today's edition of I Told You So GDPR.
Tim and I were late. We were at this raging GDPR party. Oh my God, it went all night. It was unfreaking believable.
Speaking of which,
did any of you? I really hope in 30 days we are not having this conversation any longer. I know it's important. I know it's got to be done, but God, I'm so done talking about it.
Although I will say, I think this has been more climactic than Y2K was.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, this is kind of what I was hoping for with Y2K was like, let's see, give me something.
Yeah.
It will have more long-term implications for sure.
Right.
I
think
need to say. Oh, go ahead, Len.
we're going to have, I figure this is going to last us, Norone, another couple of 2, 3, 4 weeks of conversations with lawyers, and just because in some cases the spigot was turned off just a little bit because they got their consent right. In some cases consent wasn't exactly right, or they weren't sure they were getting consent right, so they just shut it all off. And so for them, we have a position, we understand our role. In some cases, they said, okay, just turn it all off so we don't incur any risk, and then we'll let you talk to our lawyers in a week or so.
I think we should take a moment of silence. I think we should take a moment of silence for all the databases that have been crushed and destroyed in the next 24 hours.
That's right. Purge. The purge has begun.
The purge has begun. Oh my God! Yeah, the compliance questions, and I think Ed, you sent over an example where you said, "I hope you're not doing this," and this was some silly email of, "Can we still send you stuff? Yes or no?" And it's like, no.
So really, but wait, what was funny about this is it was that there was no compelling reason. But I don't think what they realized is it was 1 yes and 2 no's were the options on the email. Because you gave a yes, no, there's a third no, which is just don't respond. And yeah. Yeah.
I know I was mentioning earlier, just as we started up on the show, I mean, I spent a little over 6.5 hours in just in my little teeny tiny company getting completely GDPR compliant, going through the whole process of creating, all the documentation of your IT protocol, your data protection officer, your internal training confirmation, your encryption identification, storage facilities, locations, and all the stuff that is in the back of the house stuff that people aren't realizing is really the meat and bone of this stuff. It's just not the, hey, we're changing our policies to make sure that you got to be able to give a channel of communication for your users to be able to solicit that they need to know what their data is. You be able to return it in a reasonable amount of time, yet to be defined. And then for them to be able to edit and also exclude them. It's crazy, the additional stuff that has yet to be done.
But the one thing I want to say to that, and I think this is really important, for anybody who's watching the show who just heard what Lauren said and is like, oh my God, I haven't done any of that, don't panic. Right?
Panic. No, panic. Panic.
No. It's important that you're working towards this. Remember, the first step is you get a notification. The first step, if anything does occur, is you get a notification that you don't have compliance. Right? So as long as you're making progress towards compliance on all of these things, you don't have to be done today. It would be great if you were. It would be better if you were. But you can continue to work on this as long as you are making progress and have a plan for how to get there. Right? Like that's really the
well, and the good news is none of the officials in Europe actually know how they're going to do any of this because they haven't yet been given budgets or the authority inside their specific government organizations to do anything. But they have to. Like that's the interesting aspect of this is like they have to respond. They have to do the research and all of that, and none of them know how they're going to do it. So it's going to take a little while.
So yesterday, one of my colleagues in my Frankfurt office sent through an article from a Frankfurt business journal that had done a survey, and they had surveyed just users, just regular normal Germans, and I don't know what the question was because it was all in German, and so my colleague translated for me. But basically, he said the upshot is that 2 out of 5 Germans will want to check their privacy rights within 6 months after May the 25th. So so the people on the ground, especially in Germany, are intensely curious to ensure that their rights are being adhered to. Right. So even though the EU may not have money authorized to do this, the average guy in the street in the EU wants to make sure that his privacy is being protected.
And that is our rut row. That is our rut row for today, Valen, because Valen volunteered a lovely article completely in German, which I thought may not be the best for our audience to basically go through, including infographics with embedded German. Quite lengthy. So
Speaking of man on the street from the EU, soon to be Brexit, just England only, is our own Mr. Stuart Butler.
What's up?
Man on the
I heard
street
you
report.
talking about Europeans. I figured I'd show up.
I thought you
You're
I
our
thought you'd be
European
solo
representative,
as
but not for
well
long. After
today.
Brexit, you're just going to be.
He showed up just so he can leave early.
that's right.
What us Brits do best.
Yes, but our rut row for the week, though, is actually the research report it's a pretty good infographic from the research report that those statistics were derived from. So I didn't actually ignore you, Valen. I did use your recommended rut row. That was very
That's okay. And I could follow the thread, Robert. I got that.
oh, okay.
So I posted up some of the fun we're having on GDPR Day, some of the posts to some of our LinkedIn today, and because we've obviously have been ready for a long time because we've been talking about it nonstop for months now. So today, yeah, it's kind of chill in our office. Actually, everyone's pretty much out for the holiday, and someone baked cookies and been talking about the Solo movie. That's what you do on GDPR Day.
That's
when
what
you're
we're
ready.
doing.
Yeah.
So it is like Y2K at your office.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, our,
Yeah.
our U.S. office is nice and quiet. It's our European office that is not quiet.
Right.
I imagine.
For those of you who weren't born on Y2K,
Right.
Don't listen to the show.
There may be people that have no idea what Ed is referring to.
At all.
Exactly. No, actually, a quick story from my Sabre days where I hated the whole Y2K effort because we had to go through all the Sabre code for all the hotel and make sure not good, except Sabre's hotel platform was acquired from basically a license from Apollo's hotel program. So they bought it. American bought it from United in 1984. And the really interesting thing we discovered was that whoever wrote that code set day zero the same way that the calendar works for Y2K, right? Where it ran basically your date register ran out of values, right? Because it got up to 00 and you couldn't go back. They said I don't know their grandmother's birth date, something like that. But the Sabre hotel program would have died about 9 months before Y2K by running out of dates. And we accidentally discovered that, and so it's like, oh no. In other words, we use another term for that, but we had to fix that, and it was
Y2K. It was party like 1999.
Oh man, if it had not been for Y2K, Sabre's hotel program would have locked up.
That's fun.
Just completely
That's
stopped.
funny.
No hotel, and at the time we were doing half of the automated hotel bookings on the planet.
And no one would have known why either. They would have been like, we have time. It can't be a Y2K issue at all.
Do you think, and I've seen some malicious code in my time from developers, do you think he or she whose grandmother's date it was, do you think that was a deliberate thing just to screw with
No.
people? Or do you think they were just an idiot?
No,
They just set
never
zero. They
ascribed-
didn't.
What's the old
Robert,
quote? Never ascribe to malice that which can be more adequately summed up by incompetence.
This is true.
Well, and
Robert,
let's
I'm
be
gonna
honest.
book
I'm
your
sure
help.
this person who was writing this code went, this is going to be rewritten in
This is
sometime in the
fun.
next
Yeah,
10 years.
somebody-
I would hope so.
Yeah.
So we ran Pegasus code at Wyndham that broke badly in about 2002 or 2003, and we found a.
Uh-oh.
You went deep dive.
Yeah, it's
The Illuminati of the hotel industry. Frozen.
That's
they
right.
interrupted us.
We didn't hear you,
So
Tim.
while we wait for Tim, Tim to get back, right? I'm going to
He
vote.
always gets frozen in the worst
I know, right?
ways.
Robert,
So
I'm
while
going to
we're-
invoke your help to debunk Stuart's claim that no one that was not around by Y2K was here by letting him know who asked us that permission to go over and share the show with their student population. Where are we going to be featured? Where are we? Penn State what?
Penn State.
Well,
Yeah.
they're all over.
Disneyland.
All right, so let's do it.
I think I think our show is going to be used.
Comment right now. You're not.
No,
There's
it's
going to be no comments.
our show, I believe, is going to be halftime entertainment. I believe. I think that's what Donna was getting at. She didn't really want to come out with it, but yeah.
That's
No more
fine.
marching band stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah. Which was interestingly ironic because when she did the press release brief for us to review, it didn't refer to Ed in any capacity, and we're like, he's the most outspoken person on the show, and he gets no. I mean, even Valen was pointed out to, but no Ed comments.
Wow.
well,
What does
No.
even Valen mean? I want to pick up on that.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know if Lauren just intelligently insulted both of us, Valen.
Like a
Or-
backhanded
what?
insult.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was being complimentary of her and a little derogatory to you.
Lauren was feeling Valen would disavow any knowledge of
Right.
any familiarity with any of
So
us.
she's already on the hook for having her name associated with the show. So yeah, she's
Now-
I don't know.
But I will
Ed's-
say I know nothing about this. So was I in a press release? Is that what you guys are saying?
No,
Yeah, I
she
don't
was
know
talking
anything
about
about this.
Yeah, I don't know
No,
anything about this
she
either.
mentioned people in it.
No.
Yeah, she mentioned people in it, and Robert had to remind her that there was missing components to it.
Yeah. No, and Ed was not included
Can you
because
guys hear
hey,
me?
Yes.
Now we can.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Robert
we're
was just
ignoring you.
Totally
Who is the
ignoring you.
she? I don't know anything about this. What are we talking about?
Oh,
Go ahead, Robert.
Donna
I think you
from
need to post a link in the chat, Robert.
There we go.
Well, there is no, there's no
No, it's
link.
not out yet. It's
Yeah.
not out yet.
No,
It's
no,
not
no.
out yet.
Oh.
Donna wanted to do more with the show. She likes the show, likes the news,
Oh.
all that sort of thing, wants to share it more. Now, she left out Ed, though, because there is that restraining order, Ed. And I'm sorry. You've still got the statute of limitations. You got like 3 or 4 more years. Sorry.
Actually, I mean, the thing is most education based things don't like to mention me because I generally am not a huge fan of the education system and how it is
But
teaching what I think is the wrong things to serve
The church-
their students.
Education should be the Church of Ed. You're absolutely right.
I really
Religion
love how
back in the schools.
I love how Ed just assumes it was a deliberate omission because his reputation
Exactly
precedes him.
right.
Not
Exactly
that they
right.
just didn't have space or just omitted
Right,
it out of.
and that at all surprises you that that's my response, not that it's
They knew who
possibly
it
an
was.
accident.
It was deliberate for sure.
Yeah.
To bring up the whole context of this, she was very excited when she was at the curate to tell me that she really felt that she wanted current information put in front of her kids, students, whatever, and that she really just loves the show. She loves the rut row. She loves the topics. She loves the banter, the dialogue, and she feels it's a great way to get this in front of her hospitality students, an understanding of the living, breathing existence of the industry and not the static what you read in a book mentality.
For sure.
So she really does enjoy the fact that everything's up for grabs. We're opinionated, but it's an intelligent discussion.
Yeah.
But she just says, hey, look, and she sent over a little thing that says, this is what I described it as and so forth. And she had some things that were missing on it as to who has participated, what we kind of do. So Robert was really good about saying, hey, you missed a few things like Ed. But anyway, so it's a positive in that sense. That
The good news is none of this happened with me present, so it didn't happen. So
It didn't happen. Yeah. The quantum theory of Ed. If you didn't witness it, it didn't happen. Yep. Anyway, so topic-wise, Mr. Roberts, since you threw some good ones out there, and Mr. Ed even threw a couple of other interesting ones out there, and we get to do I Told You So's today. Grab something.
So, hey, actually, I like the one that Ed. I didn't see the one that Ed just kind of tossed out in the email. So that
I'm really starting
Red-
to like what Red Lion does here. I mean,
Red
I was
Lion is
questioning
the
Expedia.
contrarian.
Yeah, I was questioning the Expedia move back when they did it, but now when you look at them jumping to the contrarian position of the big brands, for someone who's trying to, and I'm actually in the middle of, I kind of took what was a very civilized disagreement between Sloan Dean, the chief operating officer of Remington, and Calvin Anderson from Red Lion. I poked at it and was like, guys, this is way too civil. So Sloan,
Right.
Sloan bit. So now, not that he bit to make it uncivil. He's now actually arguing his point, which is, the point of a brand is that it should lower the cost for its hotels. But listen, not everyone is Hilton and Marriott. Okay, not everyone brings enough demand into every single market that they can stick their thumb up at the sources of business. I think it's very smart. Red Lion probably, and I don't know, but I mean, they probably don't have the same level of clout with this specific group as Marriott and Hilton do. So I think it's a great way to say, hey, listen, we're very interested in your business, so much so that, you know what, we've bumped our commission. Yeah, because that is true competition. Hilton and Marriott have said, you know what, we're willing to take a bit of a hit because overall it's going to save everyone money. And Red Lion said, hey, we're willing to pay more. We want.
Now, I don't have any specific information